Have you ever felt trapped in a life where every decision seemed to lead to another maze of unknowns? That's how Harsha felt on the brink of her marriage to Rahul. It was the beginning of 2011, and Harsha, the youngest of 5 siblings, was about to embark on a new chapter of her life, one filled with hope and expectation. Her mother, in poor health, had one final wish: to see her youngest daughter married before it was too late. In the heart of India, in Bhopal, Harsha had lived her life in the warmth of her family, surrounded by brothers and sisters. But when her father passed away in 2010, the weight of her mother's illness pressed down on her. She understood the importance of fulfilling her mother's wish, even if it meant compromising her own desires. Enter Rahul Sharma, a man from Delhi whose image was painted in glowing colors by their mutual relatives. He owned a mobile shop and had a flat in the city, they were told. The perfect match for Harsha, the son-in-law every mother dreams of. But as their relationship bloomed, Harsha began to sense a growing cloud of doubt. The more she learned about Rahul, the more she felt something wasn't right. The couple's engagement happened smoothly, and by March 2011, the wedding was set. Harsha's family hosted a grand ceremony, including gifts, a Yamaha FZR bike, and 3 lakh rupees. Rahul and his family arrived in style, and the wedding seemed to be a picture-perfect start to a happy life. But once the celebrations ended, Harsha was faced with a stark reality. She had been told that Rahul owned his own home, but the flat she entered in Delhi was nothing more than a shabby, rented space. His mobile shop was a mere facade. Rahul was working at someone else's store. Harsha had been deceived, and she felt the bitter taste of betrayal creeping in. But what could she do? Her mother's health was declining, and she had already made her commitment. Slowly, she buried her dissatisfaction deep within her and began to adjust. But the cracks in the marriage only deepened as time went on. Rahul's behavior became erratic. He was temperamental, lost his job, and the financial strain grew unbearable. Whenever Harsha asked for money, he would lash out, demanding more from her family. He resorted to physical abuse. Yet, with no one to turn to, Harsha stayed silent, convinced that the marriage was her burden to bear. Could she find a way out before it consumed her completely? It's said that the truth always comes to light, no matter how deeply it's buried. For Harsha, that truth came with a punch, a revelation that would change everything. After a few months in the marriage, her life spiraled into chaos. Rahul's demands grew insatiable, and his violent tendencies escalated. Harsha, now pregnant, hoped that the arrival of their child would be a turning point. But nothing changed. In 2020, Harsha, now overwhelmed with the emotional and physical toll of her marriage, took the bold step of leaving Rahul. She moved back to her family in Bhopal, determined to break free from the shackles of her abusive marriage. She filed a case against Rahul for dowry harassment, seeking justice for the years of suffering. But Rahul wasn't going to make it easy for her. When Harsha confronted him, Rahul's apology seemed sincere at first, but it was all part of a calculated move to buy time. He begged her to drop the charges, claiming that he had changed, but Harsha was resolute. She had already endured enough. Yet, as time passed, a twist of fate pushed the case into the background. The COVID-19 lockdown halted the court proceedings, and Rahul's legal battles seemed to vanish into thin air. But then, a phone call shattered the fragile peace Harsha had built. Rahul was dead, supposedly from COVID-19. For weeks, Harsha struggled to come to terms with the news. Her mind swirled with questions. Why hadn't anyone informed her? Why was she kept in the dark about his illness and his death? The shock didn't end there. As Harsha began to mourn, she received an unexpected message, one that suggested Rahul was not only alive but had been living a double life. Could it be possible? Was Rahul playing a twisted game even from beyond the grave? Harsha's suspicions grew, and she delved deeper, uncovering a tangled web of lies. Rahul had faked his death, and the truth about his betrayal hit her like a thunderclap. How could someone she once loved deceive her in such a cruel way? It's one thing to be deceived by your partner, but it's another to uncover a life built entirely on lies. Harsha, now aware that her husband's death was a sham, began to investigate the truth. She was determined to find the answers she sought. What she uncovered was nothing short of a nightmare. Through a series of phone calls and encounters with his other wife, Komal, Harsha learned that Rahul had been living with Komal during the time he was supposedly dead. The lies kept mounting. Rahul had not only faked his death, but had also been leading a double life, with a new family and a new identity. To make matters worse, he had been financially exploiting both women while playing them against each other. The more Harsha pieced together the puzzle, the more she realized that Rahul's web of lies had no bounds. She filed a police report, determined to bring him to justice. But Rahul, ever the manipulator, vanished into thin air once more. The final confrontation would have to wait. As the truth unraveled, Harsha found herself standing at the crossroads of her life. She had been betrayed in every sense of the word. But the one thing she had always kept intact was her resilience. Her journey of survival, of reclaiming her life from the jaws of manipulation and abuse, had only just begun. Her story is not just one of suffering, but of empowerment. Harsha chose not to be the victim of her circumstances, but the warrior who would fight for her rights and the future of her child. But the story leaves one question: how far can one go to escape the shadows of a life built on deception? Would you risk everything to confront the truth, no matter how painful it might be?